The Ace Man's back in Boston at the Wilbur Theater on Thursday, November 6th. Then Friday, November 7th in Buffalo, New York at Electric City. On Saturday, he's down in Duluth, Georgia, appearing with Megyn Kelly at Gas South Arena. Get tickets for these shows and more at adamcarolla.com. The last time he was this worried about a vote in New York City, he got voted off the Celebrity Apprentice. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice. We're going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. Bjorn Lomborg has joined us from Sweden, I'm assuming. He's got thoughts. And Bjorn's been on the show a few times. Very interesting guy. It's always good to see you again, my friend.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So we want to talk to you because of this whole Bill Gates kind of 180, or I don't know if it's a 180, maybe it's a 100 or 110 or something, but it's sort of a turnaround. It's something that I think people like you have been saying for a long time. I've been saying for a long time, which is, look, if it's going to be hot in Vegas, we have to invent something called air conditioning so that people can thrive in Las Vegas. And if you're going to have New Orleans and it's going to be below the seawater line, then we're going to have to build walls up to protect seawalls to protect them. But they're lower than sea level, then we need to do that. And in LA, I used to work in earthquake rehab. We earthquake proofed old buildings. We earthquake proof stuff. We make it. It's not Guatemala when an earthquake hits out here. In Los Angeles, it's completely different because we planned for it, we understand it, and we mitigated it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I think so. Gates came out and said something I think is more sort of a clarification, but obviously it's a different sort of message than both what he's been saying and certainly what most people have been hearing. So what he told us is, yeah, sure, look, global warming's real, as you've also pointed out, as I certainly have been pointing out, but it's not the end of the world. And that's incredibly important because then people can stop running around scared like chickens with no heads and just thinking, oh my God, the sky is falling. We need to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this one problem. No, it's one of the many problems we need to fix in the 21st century. And I think one of the things that Bill has really taken in is the idea of saying, look, there are many, many other problems. And if you go to poor places in the world, they have a lot of more urgent and much more easily fixable issues. You know, if you worry about, if you're a mom in a poor country, you worry about your kids not waking up tomorrow because they'll have died from an easily curable infectious disease, or there's not enough food, or that you live in poverty, or that you don't get good education, that there's no jobs, there's corruption, all these other very basic things. You don't worry about a temperature rise in 100 years. And so getting people back to saying, let's focus on what actually matters, which is human welfare. I think he's really changed the way we can think about climate. He asked people at the climate summit that's going to happen next week, he said, whenever you plan on doing something, think about how this is going to affect human welfare. Is this the best way to help human welfare improve? And of course, a lot of the things they're considering there, nope, not at all. It's an incredibly costly way of achieving very little in 100 years. So look, I think Bill has sort of clarified, he's certainly turned around a little bit, and this is going to make the world a much better place.
Well, how much of this is we're kind of finding out in the United States, and we're finding out with other subjects, especially in my home of California, for instance, something like the homeless crisis, is you announce there's a problem, which is climate or homeless or whatever it is, and then you build a scaffolding and an apparatus, and next thing you know, there's a payroll and there's thousands of people on it. And now it's basically an industry where it was a concern or a worry, and now it's an industry. And once it becomes an industry, then there's lobbyists and there's lawyers and there's accountants, and now it just becomes its own sort of behemoth. And I feel like here in California, where I'm from, we spent billions on the homeless and we've got nothing because, well, somebody got something, but it didn't make it into low-cost housing for the homeless. It didn't get anybody off the street. It had no impact, but there were still billions spent. And climate feels almost like the same grift, even if it didn't start as a grift.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, climate is not billions, it's trillions, right? We last year spent more than $2 trillion on climate policy. So the last 20 years, we spent more than $14 trillion. So this is a huge issue. And, people are cavalierly talking about how we're going to spend 5 and 10 and 20 trillion dollars a year. Money we just don't have. So you're absolutely right. There is a lot of goodwill in this thing, but there's obviously also a lot of people who've latched on. Think of all the people who got subsidies for solar panels and wind turbines and electric cars and what have you. There's a lot of industries that have built up their brand. I mean, Tesla arguably got a third of their income from these requirements, the CAFE standards in the U.S. requiring low emission cars. So basically, they sold those rights to all the other car producers, and that brought in about a third of all the stuff that they've made money on. So clearly, a lot of people got rich, and when that happens, there's also a lot of other interests. I think what's happened with climate is it was just uniquely well designed to work in this click economy. Suddenly you had something where you could blame anything on climate. And it literally has been blamed on pretty much everything. So again, climate change is a real problem, but it just took a life of its own, as you just described, and ended up making everyone telling you everything you see is because of climate change. So, the latest hurricane, climate change, any sort of flooding, climate change, and so on. And look, there's some parts of this that has some truth to it. There's a kernel of truth here, but it's just vastly exaggerated. And of course, what's happened is we've also made most young people miserable because they think there's no future, which is absolutely untrue. And I think that's one of the things where Gates coming and saying, look, this is not going to be the end of the world. It's a problem. That is an incredibly useful way to say, look, there are many problems in the 21st century. Climate is one of them. Let's fix them, but let's fix them smartly. And again, keep asking, if you're going to do a policy, how much is this going to improve human welfare? And then you get back to saying, when you give a subsidy to an electric car or a solar panel, how much does that improve human welfare? And the simple answer is nothing right now. In 100 years, a little bit. And that sort of puts it in comparison with all the other things we could have spent that money on that could probably have done a lot more good.
Well, yeah, they got the whole celebrity class to buy into it, which is always good because it becomes sort of free advertising, like a celebrity endorsement, like you would want Kim Kardashian wearing your T-shirt on the next red carpet. And we got that times thousands of celebrities. And then it sort of became, at least this is my view as someone who lives in Hollywood, it's sort of like COVID in that you had two choices. You could either really believe in climate change or you could just go along to get along. But there was no third option, which is not buying into climate change, because that would get you ostracized. So it followed the same trajectory as COVID in Hollywood. You could either be all in or you could not believe it but keep it to yourself, or you could do a third option where you sounded off about it, in which case you were never hired again on any production and ostracized from the community. So it worked very nicely. And, I would say when historians go back and study this, they'll see the same game plan and the same effect and the same rules, essentially, for BLM or COVID or climate. It's all the same. There's nobody in this community that would stand up and say anything about, or even be skeptical about those without risk of being ostracized, and thus they don't do it. So now you have this group of influencers that are pushing something as well. You know, you get Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's all pro bono. I mean, if you wanted to get Leonardo DiCaprio or George Clooney to endorse your watch or your shampoo, it would cost something. It would cost a lot. But now you have them beating the climate drum everywhere all the time, flying privately simultaneously, but beating the climate drum. And now you have the celebrity endorsement beyond your wildest dreams, because no one needed to be paid for their celebrity endorsement. They all just came out. And so I could definitely see how this thing got momentum very, very quickly. But also, there is a side of this where I think a lot of people file stuff under, well, what's the harm? And again, back to COVID. It's like, what's the harm? Just put a mask on. What's the harm? Just do the 6-foot thing. Yeah, what's the harm? And it's like, well, A, the harm is none of this is correct. You're getting us to do stuff that doesn't pan out scientifically. But B, you're shutting down the schools and you're harming kids. Like there is something that comes out the other end. It's not just what's the harm. It's you are causing harm with a lot of these things that you're implementing.
Yes, and you're causing a lot of harm in a lot of people's head if they think this is the end of the world.
Yeah,
and so really, I think what has happened is you're absolutely right. A lot of people jumped on this bandwagon. Also, a lot of politicians, to be honest.
Sure.
You could argue from Al Gore onwards, a lot of people have been saying, and this is sort of a politician's wet dream, right? You can go on and say, the world is ending. I can't do the very low voice that you have to do for a trailer kind of thing, right? But the world is ending. But if you vote for me, I'll fix it.
Right.
And of course, the fix for a long time has just been, I'm going to make promises far into the future that you won't actually feel right now.
Right.
But that's no longer the case. And that's your, what's the harm? Now, climate policy actually costs us money. It used to be a couple of $100 billion. Now it costs us $2 trillion a year, and it's slated to be 5 or 10 trillion in just 5 to 10 years. That is unacceptable. We're talking about 5-10% global GDP.
Right.
People are just not going to be able to afford that.
Well, are we ever going to put a dent in this without the compliance of India or China or these sort of emerging nations with these large populaces? You know, we act like we're going to do it all from a basement in Santa Monica, California. I keep screaming at everyone. We act like there's really like a 7-mile radius on the west side of Los Angeles that acts like we're in charge of the world, you know? And it's for good reason, because those are the people that are in charge of music and fashion and cinema and culture, you know? So they go, we bring you the TV, we bring you the fashion. We bring you the celebrities. We bring you the music. We bring you the trends of the world. We started here, and then it gets picked up in Japan and Dubai. So why not do that with climate? It's kind of, we sort of think we can control everything from this little enclave in sort of Los Angeles, Santa Monica area. But if India and China don't get on board with this, which they don't, because they're trying to build a nation, then how much control do we really have? And I mean, there's Western Europe that sort of has that same feel, like we're going to do this from Germany, but it's not, because their reach isn't that great. And if China, it's called global warming, not Los Angeles warming, right?
Exactly. And Germany doesn't even run the fashion industry, right? So no, I mean, fundamentally, we matter very little. We used to matter a lot, but the whole rich world, so the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, Japan, a few other countries, so the OECD, over the rest of the century will emit just about 13% of emissions. So you're absolutely right. All the other stuff, almost all of it, is going to come from, right now, relatively poor countries, Because they want to stop being poor. They want to get out of poverty. That's what China has shown the way. That's where India is going, and that's certainly where everybody else is going. And I think in some ways we don't understand how much of the world is still incredibly poor. Remember, about a third of the world's population still cook and keep warm with dirty fuels like dung and cardboard and wood. And so it's 10 times more polluted inside most of these homes than it is outdoor in Beijing or in New Delhi.
Right. So that's one third of the world cooks the way folks did on the prairie 200 years ago here, with dung or wood or something that's combustible. That's one third of the world. Right. And then we argue over electric stoves being mandated in Santa Monica, California, and in Manhattan. Like we think we can fix this by implementing electric stoves.
They're dreaming of gas-fired stoves, right? Because that would make their kitchens much, much cleaner. Another thing, most of sub-Saharan Africa, so the poor part of Africa, where there's still about 1 billion people live, they are so poor and have so little electricity that the average person in Tanzania, for instance, uses as much electricity for all their things and for all of their industries as the average Californian does to heat his or her pool.
Really?
So, you get a sense of proportion here. California is smaller than Tanzania in terms of population, but you use more energy to heat your pools, or for that matter, to run your PlayStations, than the whole nation of Tanzania does. It gives you a sense of, no, they're not going to say, sure, we'll just stay poor and fix climate change for you. First of all, it's not going to fix climate change. Second of all, of course, they're not going to stay poor. And so we are never going to get these countries on board unless we find a solution that's actually going to fix us. That is something that delivers a lot of energy, mostly probably electricity, really cheaply and reliably and trustworthy. And we're not there yet, right? I mean, right now we talk a lot about solar and wind, and sure, it's great when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, but otherwise it sucks because you have no power. And unless you have an enormous amount of batteries, which no one can afford, you're not going to solve it with solar and wind. You're just going to make it feel like, oh, we're cosplaying a little bit and saying, sure, we can do it in the rich world. Yeah, but that's because you have a lot of backup power that you can turn on when the sun is not shining and the wind is not blowing.
Yeah, well, in the sort of consequences department, the unintended consequences, you have Europe, you have Germany, and you have them several years ago making the switch to the renewable stuff and shutting down the refineries and nuclear, and next thing you know, they're reliant on Russia for their gas and oil, and now we're giving the money to a despot dictator who's using the money to fund a war. So like I said, it's not all just upside with no potential downside. There's plenty of downside to be had. And I think we're kind of sobering up a little with this, and sort of maybe with Bill Gates leading the charge, kind of coming to grips with this. I obviously, and you and I have always talked about nuclear power, and I've talked to many scientists about it, and they like it. But, it's so difficult to do because the powers that be make it so difficult to utilize. But I don't know, is the answer for now nuclear power, or is there some unit and some way of generating electricity that I'm unaware of that could be put into use in our lifetime that is a little bit more micro than macro, like a little bit more units per house versus being piped in from far away?
Yeah, I would love to be able to reveal the big truth here on your show, but unfortunately, that's not the case. As you well know, nuclear is really the only thing that we know right now to produce a lot of power reliably without CO2 emissions. So That's the only technology we have right now. The problem, of course, as you also point out, is that in the US and most other rich nations, it's incredibly costly. So you just, in the 2000s, you've completed 3 nuclear power plants. They're all incredibly costly and fairly over time and also budget. So you really have a situation where it's really hard to do this. A lot of this is probably because of unnecessary red tape. In some way, you could argue that what we've ended up doing, we used to just build lots of nuclear power plants, but eventually, because everybody needed all the different security things just so at this very place where they're being built, we ended up building opera houses instead, incredibly complex and very, very detailed, and just so for each one of these power plants. And of course, they got incredibly expensive. Look at what China has done. China, at the same time, since the year 2000, they've gone from 3 to 58 nuclear power plants. They've just built a ton of them, and they're likely to build another couple hundred ones in the next 10 years or so. And they are actually what you would expect, building them cheaper and cheaper. And on time, about 5 years compared to the Georgia ones that took about 11 years, because they just treat it as any other development project. But the reality is you're never going to get this rolled back in most of the rich world. And that's where the promise of 4th generation nuclear, so right now we have 3rd generation, but 4th generation nuclear is really this modular, and that goes to your point of saying it's something that's smaller. It's something that you could imagine sort of being in a container, maybe, container sized. And you just get a factory permit for this thing. And then you just roll off 10,000, look exactly identical. So you get the permit for the factory production, and then you would just be able to ship them all over the world. That potentially could make them much cheaper. They're set up to be fail-safe and much more efficient and produce very little, if any, radioactive material. Now, I've just given you the brochure version of this. Of course, we'll actually have to see if that works out. But that is one thing that really could take over the world. If this becomes incredibly cheap, and look, China is ahead of this, Bill Gates is actually also investing. The US is investing quite a bit in this. We should be investing a lot more in 4th generation nuclear, because that's one of the things we know could actually end up powering the world. One thing you probably haven't heard about is geothermal. No. So remember Iceland, if you've ever stopped over in Iceland.
Yeah. Geothermal.
Geothermal.
Right.
Iceland is basically run on geothermal. That's also because they live on the rift, where there's also volcanoes and all kinds of other nasty stuff, a little bit like Hawaii. So they have the very hot earth just underneath their ground. So they've actually been able to use it. But because of fracking made us very, very good at drilling. We have now also become much better at drilling for geothermal. The good thing about geothermal is that's also 24/7, unlike solar and wind. So that could potentially give us energy, both heat and electricity, 24/7. We're still not there, but that could also be a big breakthrough.
Cove Pure. You know that one person who's impossible to buy for? For me, well, I can be difficult because I got stuff. But it's the thought that counts. But this year, I got to figure it out. I'm getting a Cove Pure. If you don't know what that is, it's a countertop water purifier that actually makes your water taste amazing. It removes 99.9% of contaminants. Stuff like PFAS, lead, arsenic, even pharmaceuticals, because that's in the water these days. So you're getting the cleanest water you've ever drank before. None of the weird aftertaste, just pure fresh water. I use mine every day. It just goes on the countertop. That takes up about as much room as a coffee maker. And it's smart too. You can choose the water temperature, hot, cold, or warm. No waiting, no kettle, just instant hot water. Perfect for tea, coffee, or bottles in the middle of the night. Plus, it looks great. It's sleek, it's modern, it's got a beautiful face, lights up, very high tech, like something out of a fancy kitchen design show. It's beautiful. I suggest you try it. Am I right, Dawson?
So if you're looking for a gift that's good for your loved ones and one that they'll actually use, we highly recommend Cove Pure. And because we partnered with them, they're giving you a special $250 holiday discount with our link, covepure.com/Adam. That's COVEPURE.com/Adam to get $250 off. Covepure.com/Adam. Hurry before the sale ends.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, these guys, they keep your car on the road so you don't end up stuck on the shoulder looking like a dope. Friendly, helpful service people who actually know their stuff, not just some kid who'd rather be on his phone. No, that's not what they do. I love these guys. I've always used them. And like I said, I used them back in the day when I didn't have a choice, and now I have a choice, and I use them. Prep race cars, mainly. Thousands of parts and accessories stocked in store and online, so you don't have to panic when the check engine light appears. Need wipers swapped, brake lights out? These pros, well, they'll find what you need. They'll hook you up. And by the way, if you're not a DIY type, they'll get you with a local shop. So whether you're a gearhead or you don't know a lug nut from a donut, they'll walk you right through it. No attitude, just real help. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Does geothermal turn turbines to create electricity?
Yes, so you would put down, typically what you do is you put down a lot of water and then you get boiling water back up, yeah.
Right, so just to, I don't know, oversimplify, the Hoover Dam is water turning a turbine. Like, if we want electricity, we've got to turn a turbine unless it's from solar, right? Yeah. Everything else is sort of cranking something, basically. So you can crank something by running water through a dam, or you can crank something by the geothermal, or you can crank something with nuclear, which is just a way to heat up water and turn it to steam and turn something. And these self-contained, smaller, portable nuclear units are going to need a water source, correct?
Well, first of all, they're not portable. You can't just lift them up.
Well, no, not portable,
like
shippable or something.
Yes. Well, it depends. There's some of them that are also run by salt. So you melt salt instead. And there are all kinds of different salts that you can do this with. But the point is they would be self-contained. The water doesn't disappear.
So you don't need a water source.
Probably not. No,
okay.
That's what they're trying to do with the fourth generation. Again, with third, yes, you do to keep it cool, but that's also because you have trouble keeping it well regulated.
Right.
And again, fourth generation promises to be a lot more self-regulated.
Yeah, I see. It's something, a drum that I've been beating for a long time, coming from the building industry, which is too much regulation is stifling. And people don't really understand how it just kills innovation. And they like it, like when Jane Fonda, who probably is fond of the term no nukes, a lot of science there, goes and talks to Bill Maher about regulation. She thinks there should be more regulation. But what people don't realize is you don't get a clean source of power in California because there's so much regulation that nobody can build one of these things. And I don't think people understand how stifling regulation is. They just assume it's the government looking out for us, it's safety, and that's fine. But it's sort of like saying, let's just say somebody said no automobile could be sold in California without a roll cage and a fire suppression system, and the fuel tank's going to have to be a safety bladder like we might find in an F1 car, and so on and so forth, and run flat tires and so on and so forth. And then the cost of each car would be $500,000, and then you couldn't afford a car. And then Jane Fonda, who could afford a $500,000 car, would say, what's wrong with safety? And don't you agree a car that could survive a rollover off a freeway overpass 100 feet in a ravine would be safer than a Tercel? And then I'd go, yes, it would, but at a certain point, it's not feasible, and it pushes too many people out of the market. Oh, and by the way, people who want to drive a car move to Texas and buy a car. They don't want to deal with this anymore, and then you don't get what you want. That's what I keep trying to convince people. They don't understand it. They just think these are rules. These are here for our safety. What's wrong with that? And isn't it a politician's job to come up with rules to protect the public?
Yeah, and you've just made the very eloquent argument that you do need some regulation, but regulation has costs, and you need to weigh them against the benefits. Now, this is a very, very hard argument to win, as you also just pointed out, because in some sense you're saying, hey, what if we made nuclear power plants a little less safe, but then we could afford them? That's not going to play very well. And I think that's why everyone is thinking it's much more likely that we can do this with fourth generation nuclear. Fourth generation nuclear is going to be inherently safe. So you can't have these runaway effects like you had in Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island, that kind of thing. They will just simply shut down if you don't actively keep them going all the time. And so you can have something that's both much safer and much cheaper, because you'll have it certified in the factory, and then you'll just have all of the types approved in one go. So you will have much less regulatory cost, and you will still have a safer nuclear power plant. I think that's the way to go, and that's the way you're going to be able to convince people.
Is fourth generation going to be these smaller units, or can it still be very large size facilities?
It can be large sized, but almost all of the ones that they're working on right now are also smaller. And it's, as I understand it, again, I'm not a nuclear engineer or anything, but as I understand it, the point here is to say, if you want a big one, you just buy 5 of these containers instead. So the beauty is, in some sense, it's still much cheaper just to buy these 5 and put them up in one place, or however many you want, and then just run them. That's why you probably also want them to be pretty small, so you can get any size power plant as you have. If you've ever looked into a Tesla or any other car, it's built with literally hundreds or thousands of small batteries. So it's sort of the same kind of thing, just for nuclear power.
Yeah, now people should understand this, that I was speaking to Rick Caruso, who was running for mayor out in Los Angeles several years ago, and we'll get into that later. But I've been on Rick Caruso's yacht. And Rick Caruso has a yacht that's 230 feet long, and it runs off of diesel. And his tanks on those things are like 50-something thousand gallons. And in order to get that yacht from here to Hawaii, it's going to burn off at least half of that. And I don't remember all the ins and outs, but there is a lot of diesel fuel that is going to need to be burned to get that yacht from A to B. Now, we have nuclear battleships. I mean, if you think about how much fuel it would take to get a yacht around on the ocean, picture how much fuel you would have to burn, how much diesel you'd have to burn getting something the size of a battleship or the size of an aircraft carrier around, because that is so much mass to move. There's so much weight. I mean, just millions and millions of tons. God knows how much fuel it would take to get one of those things into the Gulf of Tonkin from California or wherever it's steaming to now, Venezuela, wherever. These things are constantly in motion, circumnavigating the globe. You would go through millions and millions of gallons of diesel, but they're nuclear powered. So they do not go off of diesel. And whatever they're releasing into the atmosphere is clean and water vapor. So could we get Jane Fonda to agree that this softball-sized piece of nuclear material, which has powered this battleship for 25 years, is a good thing. She would say, no, get rid of the battleships and we'll have nothing. That would be her plan. But to any realistic person who's environmentally conscious, yeah, you would say yes. The amount of fuel it would take to take these battleships and these aircraft carriers and constantly steam them. But by the way, our Navy, everyone's Navy, modern Navy, is doing this. So can we agree this is a good idea? And if we can agree this is a good idea, then can't we just take that same premise and sort of bring it to the land?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good metaphor. There are two buts here. One is, of course, I love the idea of having a nuclear power plant looked after by really specialized people that obey a very orderly structure. I'm a little less certain about the idea of sending out 10,000 reactors all over the U.S. and having them at various states of function. We need a lot more security. It becomes a little bit more like your car in that sense, and everybody's going to drive it, and so we need to make sure that they're really, really safe. But I think that is probably doable. And again, what this really shows is we're only going to fix climate change if we focus on getting the innovation right so that this becomes affordable, not just for rich, well-meaning Americans and the rest of the rich world, but for all the other countries that want to get rich, that want to get out of poverty.
Yeah, so then we have the sort of usual people. We have the celebrity class over here, and then we have the Al Gores and the John Edwards and guys like that. And you have Greta Thunberg or Thunberg. How do we say her name? Because I hear we say Thunberg, but then I hear Thunberg or
Thunberg. Yeah.
Thunberg. All right.
It's not really. I'm not Swedish. I'm Danish, right? So I can't even say her name right. So.
Oh, damn.
Thunberg.
I'm gonna say she's. I'm gonna say you can claim her, but who amongst this group sort of got it right? I mean, now I think Bill Gates is sort of coming around to something. Everyone else is just making these dire predictions and flying private the whole time. So I don't even know. But is there a celebrity or a person that is sort of a who's vocal about this subject, who is sort of reasonable, where you go, oh, yeah, that guy's got it right?
Not that I can name off the top of my head. I mean, that is exactly Gates. I mean, he's actually looked into it. He's invested a lot, for instance, in modular nuclear. So he's put his money where his mind and his thoughts are. But he also keeps saying, what is it that will actually help with human welfare? And that's where he's put his money into very simple things like fixing malaria or fixing tuberculosis, fixing polio, those kinds of very simple things where people are suffering enormously around the world and where relatively small efforts can do a big difference. So I think he has sort of gotten that balance right. He's just being much more vocal about it right now. And I think that will help a lot more people. So you talked about how everybody got on board with this in Hollywood and everywhere else. But also notice how everybody is scrambling to get out of it. We've seen pretty much all of these opinion polls shows that people worry a lot less about climate change now, partly because you're starting to realize this is going to cost you a fortune, but also because you started realizing there are a lot of other issues like cost of living, immigration, defense. Certainly we in Europe are now realizing that with Russia, and on. There are all these other problems that are suddenly making you realize, oh, okay, maybe climate change wasn't such an existential threat. It was one of the many problems we need to fix in the 21st century, but just not the most important one.
Well, maybe you can explain this. I've brought it up more than once, but I have a place in Malibu, California, which survived the fires, although nothing in front of me survived, and many things around me didn't survive. But my place made it, and I'm now spending a lot of time looking at the ocean and them rebuilding places that are on the ocean and traveling up and down Pacific Coast Highway. And it strikes me that the sea level has not risen at all since they've started building along the ocean on Pacific Coast Highway. It just hasn't. The Pacific, it's kind of an interesting thing. You can see it illustrated now because there is a property where they're starting the foundation on building a new home on the water. And they have a pylon or a pier or a caisson out on the water side. And then there's one next to PCH on the road. It's in about 40, 50 feet. And the one that's on the road is sort of the height of the road. And then the one that's out there is only up about 5 feet. So the ocean is really only about 5 feet lower than the actual Pacific Coast Highway, but it never makes it up there. It never makes it to the road, and none of the houses ever flood. And many of those houses are from the 30s and the 40s, and it just hasn't moved. So the constant talk about sea level and the rising sea level by Leonardo DiCaprio, by the way, who lives in one of those houses, or he did until it burned down. But his house wasn't taken by the sea. It was taken by fires, which were mismanaged. So whatever DiCaprio was worried about, it wasn't from that. It hasn't risen to the best of my knowledge. It hasn't risen 6 inches in the last 100 years, or 2 inches in the last 100 years. It's literally, it's not moving. So it is weird to me that Leonardo DiCaprio can have a martini on the deck of his home in Malibu and look at the ocean every single day, and the house is from 1941, and yet worry about sea level change before he goes to bed every night.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So globally, again, it also depends a little bit. So, for instance, here in Sweden, much of the coast is actually rising because it used to have lots of ice over in the last ice age. So we're actually experiencing negative sea level rise. So it's the sea's actually lowering relative to our land, which is rising because there's no longer a mile of ice on top of it. And I don't know what it's like in California, although I doubt that you would have had a mile of ice. But globally, sea levels have probably risen about 10 inches, thereabouts, 8 to 10 inches over the last 150 years. So it's just simply nothing that you would be able to notice. So all of the worries from sea level rise comes from computer models. These models that say as temperatures rise, you're going to see sea level, just like seawater, just like everything else, expand. And that will rise the sea level somewhere between 1 and 3 feet. Again, I think your intuition is right. This is a manageable problem. I mean, we'd rather not have it, but it's not something that we haven't dealt with many, many other places already. And, Holland is probably the best example of that. You can deal with this. So Holland, 40% of the country is below sea level. If you've ever flown into Amsterdam, it's the world's largest airport that's built on a site previously a site for a naval battle. But now, you don't think about that you're what would that be, sort of 10 feet or something below sea level at the airport, because they've managed it. And the total cost across the last 50 years for all of this is about $10 billion. So not nothing, but for a rich country over 50 years, that's very close to nothing.
Well, because I've been studying the subject and it used to be my profession, I go to the job sites down on Pacific Coast Highway and I talk to the guys that are building, and they're putting their caissons in the ground and they're explaining we're building a seawall. And formerly there was no seawall. There were literally just telephone poles smashed into the ground, and then they built them on those piles. They would take telephone poles that were dipped in creosote, and they would just pound them into the ground and build on top of it, like a pier or dock or something like that. Well, they didn't have a seawall, but now they're required to have a seawall. So they're building a seawall. So they have pumps and concretes and caisson rigs, and they have rebar that is coated with a special epoxy that can withstand the seawater and so on and so forth. And they've technologied their way out of this issue, which is they have excavators and caisson rigs and stuff, and they are building a very stout seawall, which shall last for hundreds of years, with their special compound concrete as well that's made for these, applications and exposure to seawater and so on and so forth. But they figured it out. They figured it out. And then anyone who lives in that house will be fine because they put a seawall in front of it. And it costs something, but not as much as taking every internal combustion vehicle off the road for the next 100 years or whatever the crap fakakta thing the governor came up with this time. And it shall be mitigated because somebody figured it out.
Yeah. And again, I'm very proud that these guys are doing it so well. But it's important to recognize we had sort of figured the basics out already, in Babylon, some 5,000 years ago. This is not rocket science. They're doing it smarter now, but fundamentally, this is just something that we will fix. And again, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of the climate conversation is really just about scaring people witless. It's about making young people think, oh my goodness, there's no future here. And that's not only terrible because it's untrue, but of course it's also terrible because a lot of kids then decide, oh, I don't want to have kids. I couldn't be bothered going to school. I couldn't be bothered, coming up with all the innovations that are going to fix the future and that are also going to make the future much, much better. It's just depressing.
It is a ultimate form of child abuse. I mean, in Los Angeles, probably half the 16-year-old girls don't want to have kids when they're older because they don't think we're going to have an environment to raise the kids anymore. And the other half are just transitioning and becoming men so they don't have to have kids. We've essentially talked young girls out of wanting to have families by hook or by crook. And it's sad. Like, they're depressed. They don't feel like there's a future. And it's weird that the people that are doing it, and I'm looking at Engineer Dawson, maybe you can find, Kamala Harris was just interviewed like last week, and she was like, well, these poor kids are so freaked out about climate that they're depressed and they don't want to have kids. And it's like, hey, bitch, that's because that's what you've been telling them for the last 10 years. That's you. You're telling them this. Like, of course, the chickens have come home to roost. Like, they're like, oh, these kids, they're depressed. They think they're not going to be a future because of climate. And then the other half are depressed because they couldn't go to school for 2 years because of COVID. And it's like, right, all the stuff you did has hurt them and freaked them out. You're talking about it like it wasn't your idea. I think it was Kamala Harris doing the interview. I think it was last week or something. But yes, you would be we're lucky and that we're old and I can, we're a little bit set in our ways and I can see the ocean's not going anywhere. But I don't know, if I was 16, maybe, and I was, by the way, 16, but it would have been a full decade of being hit over the head with this stuff by 16. Yeah. I mean, Al Gore's movie was like, I don't know, 09 or something, 08. Like, I don't even, I mean, it's been almost 20 years. All right, we'll see if we got Kamala here. Let's see if we got this or not.
They're experiencing what they've coined climate anxiety, which is their fear that because of changing and extreme weather, that the future of their lives is very much at stake. My goddaughter, who's a junior in college right now, was crying to me just 2 days ago, worried about what is the world going to be for me, Auntie, she said. When I want to have kids, should I even be thinking about having children? That's on top of unaffordable, not for her.
Right. All right. But who's been peddling this bullshit? No. You and your party. That's why your niece is fucked up in the head. And by the way, if not climate change, at least, Hitler and the White House, between the two of them, no need to have kids. I would say.
No, I mean, look, and this is really true. And I've met a lot of these kids that are very, very worried. And they really need to be told, look, this is just not true. Climate change is a problem. But climate change is going to make the world slightly less, much more amazing by the end of the century. So just to give you the sort of the sort of short version of what climate economics does. It tries to estimate what's the total cost of climate change. It's the only the only economist to win the Nobel Prize in economics for climate change. William Nordhaus and another guy, Richard Tall, one of the most quoted climate economists. And what they find is climate is going to be equivalent by the end of the century of 2 to 3% cost. So that's not nothing. That's 2 to 3%. That's a lot of $1 trillion.
75 years from now.
But in 2100,
yeah.
the UN estimate the average person on the planet will be 450% as rich as he or she is today.
Right.
We'll be much, much better off. So because of climate change, it's going to feel like we will only be 435% as well off as we are today.
Right.
Yeah. That's I would rather have us be 450% better off, but it's not the end of the world. It's a much better world. It's a world where many fewer kids are going to die from easily curable infectious diseases, probably very, very close to zero. That we will have kids better fed. We'll have kids having a good education. They will live much longer lives. They will have much better opportunity. They'll be able to go many more places. This is both true in the rich world. The average American will be 2 or maybe 3 times richer, but the average African will be, say, 10 or maybe even 30 times richer. Remember, that's from a very, very low base. But this will just be much, much better world. And so it's incredibly important to tell her niece and everybody else, this is not the end of the world.
Well, last subject, possibly controversial, but Africa, you hear about all the stuff we talked about, and then you hear about ethnic cleansing and stuff like that. And I keep thinking, what's up with Africa? Like, when are they going to come out of this? And everyone says, oh, they're so poor. They don't have the ability to this, and they don't have power, and they don't have food and like water and stuff. And it's like, what's going on? And then what would be the possible answer? Because my whole life we've been sort of raising money and buying grain and feeding and sending grain and food and sending Christians over to startup places that educated the kids. But there's something going on in Africa that needs to be fixed that I don't know that we're going to be able to do from the outside in. As well-meaning as Bono is, I don't know that he's going to be able to fix Africa. Something is going on. And I don't know if it's proximity to the equator. Like, I started thinking about places where they build good cars, and I realized none of them is next to the equator. There's something that even here we build in Detroit, like we need cold weather to do stuff. And I don't know if it's the hot weather. I don't know if it's the proximity to the equator, and I don't know what it is. And a lot of it is corruption. I get it. But then you have to sort of ask, what's the genesis of the corruption? Like, where's that coming from? Is it a cultural thing? But, and then we're not going to fix it in the next 9 minutes, but what do you think, big picture? Because, all the Bill Gateses of the world and all the folks that mean well can do as much as they can, but at a certain point, it's a sort of inside out that's going to need to be fixed over there. And I don't know what the answer is, but your thoughts.
Yeah. So again, I don't have the solution, but I think there's 2 things that are incredibly important. First, if you go to Africa now, you have this mental image of Africa just being a little bit like you saw on TV back in the 1980s. It's not. There's lots of fairly well-off places. There's lots of places where things actually kind of work. And it's very clear that Africa has gotten richer. It's very clear that on some of the very basic parameters, infant mortality and maternal mortality, we've seen a dramatic decline. We've seen a 4-fold reduction in sort of 75 or 80% reduction in infant mortality. It's still very high, but it's much, much lower. We've seen almost all kids now in school, they're getting better educated, but there's still a long way to go. And I think part of it is, what happened, you mentioned when Europe had the Ukraine war, and we suddenly realized, oh my goodness, we're getting all our gas from Russia, and we tried to switch over. And one of the things, we eventually got it from you guys in the US, but one of the things we also did was we went to Africa and asked to buy up all of their gas and quite a bit of their coal. We also at the same time said, but you can't use it. Which, of course, is the height of hypocrisy, right? We're basically saying, but we're so rich and we need a lifestyle. We can't live without this. But you guys should just do with solar and wind, which is one of the reasons why Africa has so little energy and electricity, because we've kept telling them, you should not do the same thing as what we've done. You shouldn't do what China has done. You shouldn't get rich. And so we've, in some ways, kept them at this low level where for at least 10 years not lent them money to build coal-fired power plants or gas power plants. That's just terrible and, in my view, immoral. We've not allowed them to do fracking so that they can get their own gas, so they don't have all those people dying from indoor air pollution, as we talked about earlier. These are very basic things that people should just be allowed to. Of course, they should be allowed to live just as well as you and I. But the other thing is also, we have focused on a lot of feel-good things in Africa and elsewhere. We've been focused on spending a lot of money that haven't done very much good. But the funny thing is, we do know what works. So, for instance, education is incredibly crucial to get kids to learn to read and write and do basic arithmetic. Unfortunately, there's about 1/3 of a billion kids in school right now, which the UN estimate will probably never really learn to be literate. I mean, they'll technically be literate, but they won't actually be able to use it. They'll read like 4 words a minute, which means you can't really make it through anything.
Right.
And so what we need to do is to get much better education. We've been focused so much on building schools and getting more teachers being educated and paying teachers more, which are all nice things, but we know they don't work very well in teaching kids. The way you do that is 2 things. You have structured teacher plans, so you have the teachers who know what to go through in each classroom. They may not follow it, but it just simply makes the teachers smarter. And then you need to teach the kids at their own level. One of the ways to do that, we actually helped in Malawi, one of the poorest countries in the world, to do exactly that. You put each kid in front of a tablet with educational software. You do that 1 hour a day. You don't give them the tablet, then they're just going to play games on it instead of watch movies. You put them in front of this 1 hour a day, and this tablet will very quickly find out your exact level and start teaching you at your speed. And that basically means, so for about $31 per kid per year, you can make these kids learn about 3 times more than what they used to do. They still go to the same old boring school. Much of the time, they don't learn anything. But 1 hour a day, they really learn a lot. So when you go into these classrooms in Malawi, there's 125 kids in a classroom. You can imagine it's almost like pandemonium. Right. But you go into the class where they sit with the tablets, and it's quiet because they're busy learning. This is the kind of way, once they actually learn how to read, write, and do basic arithmetic. Again, these are lower classes. So we work with the Malawian government. They're now doing this for the entire country over the next 3 or 4 years. That will make Malawi, or the future of Malawi, much better off. But it's not going to happen in 5 or 10 years. This is going to take time. It's about getting better land tenure. One of the things that drives me up the wall is that, you own your house. You own your house because it's in a register somewhere in the U.S. that if somebody comes and takes your house, you can actually prove it's yours and get it back. About 1 billion people think that they're going to be evicted from their place, or their land, or their home in the next 5 years. That, of course, means they don't invest in their land. It means they can't borrow against their land. It means that they don't do irrigation, all these other things that are basic things for development. What we have found is some of the things I just told you about. For every dollar spent, you do an amazing amount of good You can, for education, we estimate you can do $65 of social good. This is just a fantastic thing. So again, these are the kinds of things that would really make a difference in Africa. It's not going to be sort of a magic, oh, now Africa is developed. It is going to take a generation or two or three. But there really is both a change towards a better Africa, and there is a lot of knowledge on how to make them even better. So this is really about doing the simple, smart stuff. And that gets back to the point we started with Gates. Ask how much good do these policies do for human welfare? Don't, cut tons of CO2 first to help people a tiny bit in 100 years. Focus on doing some stuff that'll actually help them right now.
A very good note to go out on. Bjorn, let me tell people X, by the way, if they want to communicate with you, Twitter, what used to be Twitter, at Bjorn Lomborg, Lomborg is where you go. Bjorn, I know you have a book that's a year or two old, but you should shout it out just so we can give it a kick.
Well, there's actually two books now that you gave me the opportunity. One is on climate, and it's called False Alarm. Mm-hmm. And it basically tells you, you're sure there's a problem, not the end of the world. Here's how to stop making your kids scared. The other one is Best Things First. And that's about all these smart things like education or land tenure reform and nutrition or agricultural research and development. All these are incredibly smart things where a little money can do a lot of good. So False Alarm and Best Things First.
Bjorn, always great catching up with you. You're doing the Lord's work.
Wonderful to talk to you.
And we'll talk soon. All right, quick break. Back with Mayhem and the news right after this. Hydro. Well, you ever finish your workout and think, did I actually get any stronger or am I just tired? Well, with Hydro, there's no guessing. In just 20 minutes, you're hitting 86% of your muscles, arms, legs, core. It's a full body workout that's easy on your joints and doesn't feel like punishment. And now they have a new Hydro Arc, the most advanced rower yet. This thing's built like a tank, but smooth as glass. It measures power, endurance, and precision every time you row. So you can literally see your progress build stroke by stroke. It even gives you personalized workout recommendations based on your performance. No more staring at menus of classes, wondering what to do next. So instead of staring at a wall, you're rowing through beautiful waterways around the world. I love this thing. And again, it's just 20 minutes. No excuses. I always go a little hard for the last 30 seconds, but that's me. Getting a good sweat, well, it used to mean hours at the gym. Now, with the new Hydro Arc, I just do it at home. And look, it's beautiful and it's got a screen, but I still put on the TV and watch a little TMZ as well. You can do it all in minutes, and you'll see your progress getting better every time you row. It's Hydro Arc, right, Dawson?
Skip the gym, not the workout. Stay on track with the new Hydro Arc, Hydro's most advanced rower yet. For a limited time, go to hydro.com and use code ADAM to get $100 off any Hydro rower, including Arc. That's HYDROW.com, code ADAM.
Morgan & Morgan. Well, there's a reason why Tom Brady's got 7 rings. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Over $20 billion recovered for more than 500,000 clients. That's not just a slogan, that's results. In one Florida case, insurance offered $350,000. Client walked away with $12 million. That's what Morgan & Morgan will do for you. They've been doing this for 35 years, fighting for the people. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people, not the power. It's Morgan & Morgan, right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or #law #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, it's Sean from Eastern Kentucky. On the topic of sandwich moms, I had a single mom that raised 2 boys, so she gets bonus points, but she made us peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches. And though I'm sure that sounds gross to most people, I still eat them to this day. Still love my mom. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
People did things with mayonnaise. There's a window, Mayhem, for mayonnaise, and it's like 2.5 to 7.5. And if you can get in that window, you can convince anyone to do anything with mayonnaise. And then later on, you can't get people to do stuff with mayonnaise, but mayonnaise can be grandfathered in to a point where it's in your psyche, where you still like doing weird stuff with mayonnaise on sandwiches. But I don't get that. I don't get the peanut butter with mayonnaise. On the other hand, if I got it when I was 6.5, then maybe I would be down with it.
That's how fetishes are developed.
Oh, next thing you know, I'm paying some German chick to put mayonnaise on skimpy.
You like a little mayonnaise?
That's what she sounded like. Yeah, doing the heels, Helga. Hey, I had a thought today. There was this great, I think, and Dawson can look it up maybe. There was a funny Mitch Hedberg joke, and I love Mitch Hedberg, but there was a Mitch Hedberg joke which is like,
I used to listen to him.
oh, well, then you'll know. I'll paraphrase, but like he would go, the escalator is broken, but it's not broken, it's stairs, was the joke, you know? And it's because an escalator, yeah, it's never really broken. It's stairs now.
Oh, yeah? Well, you have never seen that show, I Survived. In fact, sometimes the escalator can break and chew you up into dust.
But what was that? That was a Mitch Hedberg joke, right?
Yeah. It can only become stairs.
It can only become stairs. And I realized today, as my electric toothbrush was running out of juice and dying in my mouth, and I was getting pissed off, like, where's my charger? Where's my charger? I'm like, it just became a toothbrush. Why is it broken? It's not broken. I went from 0 to 37 just using a toothbrush.
But now it's a big electronic stick you got jammed in your mouth.
But when I go on the road, which I do every weekend, I just bring my toothbrush. I don't bring an electric toothbrush. I just bring a toothbrush.
Really? Man, what a look.
I don't. The
I
airport.
You're a man of leisure.
There's a lot of battery talk at airports.
Oh,
like you have batteries, or they're batteries, or they're freaked out about batteries everywhere.
Lithium-ion IED. Oh,
somebody bought me like a smart piece of luggage once, and I was checking it, and like you can't check it. It's got a battery. I literally cut my hand waiting in line at the airport, opening the thing and ripping the fucking battery pack out and throwing it away, like tearing it out of a piece of luggage so I could check it. So I'm sensitive about traveling with batteries.
Buddy, I got a Beats by Dre speaker that looks like an IED. It looks serious.
Right.
And they yank it out. I stopped bringing it.
So I don't travel with my electric toothbrush. I just travel with a toothbrush. And I'm like, I can go old school with the toothbrush out on the road.
Caveman, I call it.
But this morning when my toothbrush died in my mouth, I was like, this is an outrage. And I was like, where's the charger? And I'm like, I don't have time to charge it. I was like, this will never do. But then I realized it just turned into a toothbrush. That's all. And then I thought about Mitch Hedberg. That's all. All right.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
I didn't even know he was sick.
Oh, sad. All right, what do you got in the news here, Mayhem?
Well, first up, it looks like Donald Trump chucked his support over to Andrew Cuomo, but moreover came lambasted. Communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City. It is highly unlikely that I will be contributing to federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. He continued, it can only get worse with the communists at the helm, and I don't want to stand as president good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win.
Well, is there a part of people like me who just kind of go, I just want to do it so it can fail, so we can move the fuck on, so we'll have an example of it not working? But then I realized we have several 100,000 examples of it not working historically, and we never learn our lesson because there's always a fresh batch of dumb shit 19-year-olds
No,
who
but
think
with
it's a
AI,
great idea.
we can roboticize the bread lines.
I just feel like just do it, elect a guy, have it not work, and then apologize, and then let's turn the fucking page and get on with our goddamn lives, because we've been arguing over the same thing my entire adult life. And the other thing I keep thinking about is, why does he have to keep backing away from his policies as it gets closer to the election? Like, why do you have to keep backing away from your stuff? Also, maybe
Is it that in a general election you have to appear a little more conservative?
Yes. Your batshit crazy ideas won't work in the mainstream. So as you become more mainstream, you go, here's what it is. You go, look, you opened a taco stand, and the cool thing about your taco stand is it was called, you opened a taco stand, Mayhemitos, and we called it the honor system.
See.
And the cool thing about your taco stand is people could just leave whatever money they thought.
Claro que sí.
Sometimes you'd get $25 for a taco, and sometimes you'd get a nickel for a taco. But that was cool about your taco stand. But at some point, you want to franchise the taco stand. Somebody shows up and goes, we're going to put some money in this. We're going mainstream with your taco stand. And then you go, cool. How about my cool idea that built this taco stand if people just leave as much money as they can afford, and they go, fuck that.
I'll just tell you, they broke the box, flipped it upside down, and took a shit in it.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. And then you go, why not? That was my idea. And it's like, that's not going to work big scale. So we start getting rid of these ideas. Now, stuff like riding the bus for free.
Yeah, is that specifically to bankrupt?
I'm going to look at Dawson. I'm going to look at Andrew. Let's just say the bus was free in Los Angeles. Would that be impactful to your life?
No.
Would it make a difference?
Well, I think a lot of the workers that, have some menial jobs around the city, would be able to get around a little easier.
A little cheaper, but not, it's a $2.
But if you're making really low socioeconomic wages.
If the bus was free and you were homeless, why would you not be on the bus all the time?
But here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I think people need to understand. We are living in some sort of Dickensian world of, please, sir, may I have another bowl of porridge? This thing where we go, these people, they don't make. Has anyone checked to see how much a house cleaner is, a maid is? Like, I have a maid.
$55.
And the maid is like, it's like, by the way, you talk to any woman, it's like, it's $200. And then you go, $200. Oh, that's cheap. You can't find anything cheaper than $300 or $350. And I go, how long are they here for? They're there about 3 hours. And I go, but so they're making $75 an hour or whatever. It's like, yeah. And you go onto a construction site. I go on a lot of construction sites. These guys ain't making $9 an hour. They make $300 a day. People fucking get paid.
Yeah.
Now, there is no more that they don't have anything. They don't get. Go down to Home Depot, see if you can get one of these guys, the day labor, to jump in your car for under $35 an hour. People are getting paid. Like, maids are getting paid. Minimum wage is of almost $20 out here. Construction guys, like the stuff we used to look at is they don't make. No. People are getting paid now. They drive trucks. They have money. And by the way, $2, $3 for the bus isn't that much to someone who makes $250, $300 a day. Like, they're getting paid now.
So you think that this is going to fail? Not just with the bus.
It's going to fail. It's all going to fail. It has to fail. It can't work. The government fucks everything up, and whenever they take control of, whenever they do
a lot of leakage,
a lot of price control and rent control, and all, it never works. It won't work. It won't work this time. But it'll be fun watching it not work, and it'll be fun watching the people who constantly get accused of not paying the taxes move out and then there will be no money.
And what signs will you look for the failure of this administration's policies if they do win?
Everyone is going to leave. First off, the people that pay are going to leave, and they're going to take their tax base with them, and then they're going to fail. And it's going to happen. But anyway, we can all watch it happen, and maybe there'll be some sort of lesson learned. But we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see.
Yes.
All right, next up, we got some good news. Hooters is coming back from bankruptcy.
Oh, really?
Yep, but prepare for the twist. The hot butt shorts are out. I mean, it's a new day. Honestly, I'm very surprised at this because fashion trends are going towards the yoga pants right in the butt crack. I've seen it multiple times now at the gym, just casually. So I can't imagine these girls wouldn't wear that on their own time. But yeah, they're going like a more family friendly. Our vision is about more great food and service. It's about bringing people together, making memories, and ensuring that Hooters remains a place where everyone feels welcome. But here's some of the old hits right here. Thanks, guys, for bringing that up. I love this.
We had, Hooters.
Come on, click back. Let's see the 90s. Let's see the heyday of Hooters.
There was a man show bit called Beavers.
I remember.
I seem to recall. I didn't write it. I didn't shoot it.
It was a good one, though.
I didn't have much to do with Beavers, but I do remember we did Beavers. Look. It's a bygone era.
I mean, I'm mad about it a little bit, Ace. Can we cope right now? Because come on, the boobs and the butt cheeks, that was Hooters. Some wings that are kind of too crappy to really eat on a fighting diet, but good for a Friday night.
I am with you in that getting rid of stuff that is nostalgic and the reason we even know who you are. I mean, so you get rid of the shorts and you get rid of the push-up bras, and then you're just left with bad wings and warm beer, right? So that's all we're left with. So what are we doing here? I'm all for the throwback in the old school, and I get it.
The socks.
I'm with you in the socks and the leggings and everything else.
But the point is, they're saving the day. Look at Jay Leno with the Hooters waitresses.
Yeah, you would pose for pictures with them. They had big hair. I don't know. There was something good about. There was something good. I mean, it was a thing where like the Hooters girls would show up, you know.
And you know what? I didn't dig that deep into it. What happened was some of the Hooters of America had wedgie shorts, and I think that was too far close to a bikini. And the girls pushed back a bit. I don't know. It might be a nice sensual short of some type.
I would like.
I have to check it out for the next party.
Ooh, I came up with a place. Like Throwback Village. You know what I mean? Like it like had the Playboy Club from 1967. Had all the stuff. And by the way, once you got there,
cigarette out on the card table,
you'd be smoking everywhere. When the cocktail waitress dropped your drink off, you'd smack her in the ass. At some point, you'd be trying to walk in with your black friend, and someone stop you and we go, "Sorry, you can't come in this entrance." Like we'd adhere to it. You'd see like a stewardess coming by. We'd have people dressed up as stewardess and pilots getting drunk and following the stewardess, and like back. See, let me explain something.
Is this an interactive theater arts piece?
I had a thought. Okay. I wanted to do a thing about 25 years ago that I called Home Court Advantage. And it was a food court with all the home food from all around the country, but in one place.
All right.
So back in the day, I was out here. We'd have In-N-Out.
Yep.
And then you'd have some friend from Chicago who goes, "You done White Castle?" And I go, "I never tried White Castle." I go, "You got to try White Castle." I go, "There's no White Castle." And you try In-N-Out. We didn't have In-N-Out. It was a lot of we didn't have. You got to try. This place put them all in one food court, one giant food court. And by the way, then you could find out if the In-N-Out burger was better than the White Castle or whatever that was.
I say I'm in on this, okay? We're going to do this in the circular food court, put bleachers up, and have the mascots fight one another.
the mascots from the food.
Yeah,
like
some
the Grimace.
old In-N-Out manager with the paper hat. You know what I mean?
He's not a
Versus,
mascot. You're talking about Grimace and Hamburger.
That's what I'm saying. Fight to the death.
You're making a mockery of my very salient point.
Apologize. I thought it was a serious podcast.
It was until this. Now, here's the point. I like the throwback in the old school because the thing about I grew up thinking, man, when you're rich, you get to really do this stuff. And then I grew up and then I got rich and it turns out you can't do anything. And then everyone just hates you because they want you to pay more in taxes and they get angry at you for having shit. And then you have to pretend like you're poor. So they leave you alone, which is a weird circle because I grew up thinking being rich would be awesome.
You got to cosplay as a poor.
Now all rich people have to pretend they're poor so they don't get hassled by other poor people who don't like them, and they don't drive around. Look, you want to know what rich guys would do? George Barris. You know what George Barris is?
Sorry, Coach.
And you pull up. I want you. I'm going to prove my point, Dawson and Andrew and Mayhem. George Barris is a car customizer who built the Batmobile.
Oh, okay. I remember this guy.
He built the Munsters cars.
Yep.
He built the Monkeys mobile.
Expert, yep.
He customized cars. Now, put up George Barris celebrity customized cars. There's a pictures and there's some photos or
he just
whatever.
got down all the time and tricked out.
Here's my point. In 1975, if you hit it big, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You hit it big. Now, you're showing George Barris custom cars. I'm talking celebrity custom cars. So, okay, what do you do now? Well, it's 2025, right? Where's Leonardo DiCaprio right now? He's driving around a gray Prius, and he's wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops because he don't want to be singled out as rich guy. Right?
But wait till I introduce him to Exhibit.
He'll fucking pimp his ride. But back in the day, if you got popular, you went right to George Barris and you went, hey, man, it's not enough that I just drive a bone stock Corvette or bone stock Ferrari. You need to put your stink on it. And then he'd put your initials in rainbow tape and do a bunch of gold piping on the seat and do a bunch of shit so people knew you were fucking rich. You understand? Like he did Farrah Fawcett's and Lee Major's car because they were a rich couple, and that's how the neighbors would know you were fucking rich because you took your car to George Barris. It's not enough that you could just afford a Corvette. You were famous, and he was going to do your car. Now, where is George Barris has done he's done Zsa
Zsa Gabor, Say No More.
But, I mean, the list goes on. Rerun from what's happening. I've been to his shop. Up on the wall.
He has a museum now, then.
Yes, the list is endless.
Where's the museum, bud? I want to go. I live right next door to the Peterson Auto Museum, but I've never seen
Bob
any of his
Hope.
work.
All right, but I need celebrity. I need the wall. Maybe pictures on his wall. You just stand there and realize everybody in the 70s took their car to him, and he built them a custom car.
Piece of art.
It was a piece of junk because all they did was add stupid shit to it and make it heavier and dumber. Yeah, but the whole point is it didn't have to handle better, and it didn't have to go faster. People had to know you were rich. And that's what we did in the 70s. We went, I just got a sitcom, or I just got a TV show, or I got whatever. I'm going to go to George Barris, and I'm going to tell him to breathe on my car so I can drive around and everyone will know I'm a big shot. And now everyone is tuning it down. Everyone is going, no, don't do it.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was going to ask you about that 89 Dodge Spirit out there. Is that what you're driving around?
Mm-hmm. George Barris has got
Frank Sinatra.
All right, if you just look it up, it'll just keep going, and it'll be celebrities that were only famous for like 2 years in the 70s. But the point is you had to drive around, and Frank Sinatra drove around in a Stutz Bearcat, with Sammy Davis Jr. taped to the hood.
Yes.
Like he wanted people to know I am a rich guy.
So, yeah, you get this guy.
Now you're going to get eggs thrown at your car and you're going to get attacked.
Oh, okay. So what? Everyone's just wasting their money on foil tape?
We decided.
Look at this. That's an awesome car, though. Man, I got to say, I would spend all my money on this.
If we're going to demonize rich people, then why would you want to advertise yourself as being rich? You know what I mean? Here's
like Kanye dressed like a bum.
Here's the time. Yes, exactly. Here's where we're at. Let's see. Who else? I don't know. Maybe a wall. Maybe his picture I was thinking of. Like he literally has his shop is all 8x10s of celebrities leaning against their car. All right, here's what I'm saying. You ready?
Like a sandwich shop.
Back in the day, it was good to be rich and bad to be black. So people were rich, and Sammy Davis Jr. got a hot iron out and flattened his hair out and hung out with the Rat Pack. Okay. But you didn't want to be black, but you wanted to be rich. Now, you don't want to be rich, but you want to be black. So you got people that are Meghan Markle claiming she's black. You have all the people that are mixed. Barack Obama's black. Kamala Harris is black. And all the mixed people
Everybody
just going.
The one drop
right.
rule.
So you go, right. So now you're going, I am black and I'm not rich. Whereas you used to go, I am rich and I'm not black. See, back in the day, Kamala Harris would have been rich and Indian, and now she's poor and black. That's what I'm saying. It's a societal thing.
Hard scrabble streets of Pasadena.
George Barris, what else? Who else? Farrah Fawcett, Lee Majors, Rerun.
Rerun is the best one you named to me.
Sonny and Cher.
Okay,
of course, right.
They
had to do a Mustang for Sonny and Cher.
Beautiful.
66.
I want that one.
They had to do his and hers. All he did was add a bunch of shit to the car. It didn't work any. It didn't work any better. It was just people.
He just painted the hell out of it. It looks good, man. I like that pink.
You had to have your own mobile
Yeah.
back in the day. All right.
Ooh, 70 Corvette right there.
Farrah Fawcett had her Corvette. Farrah Fawcett had a Corvette and a 308. She had a Ferrari.
Really? That looks like Hot Wheels, buddy. That's like everything that you want in a car, I think.
They'd paint it gold. They put some dumb rims on it, and they do pinstriping.
On that one, I would put a Battletoads logo.
I saw Farrah Fawcett's 308 Ferrari go across the auction block years ago at one of those auction shows, and it didn't get any more than any other 308 Ferrari.
It was going 200 miles an hour over the block?
Just dragged it across the block. Dad, those cars are dogs. Let's see. Does she have a 3? Yeah, she had a gold one.
Ooh, yeah, the sharp one. This is the famous one out of Magnum PI, wasn't it?
It's a Magnum PI car, but George Barris got hold of it. All they do is paint it gold and then put her initials in the headrest. But Farrah Fawcett let everyone know she was rich because she had a custom car. Oh, and they put some kind of antenna on it, too, back when antennas were cool.
Oh, well, she's on CB radio, breaker 19. You know what I mean? It's Farrah Fawcett in the house, motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Farrah Fawcett, they changed the steering wheel.
Yeah.
All they do is take a 308 and ruin it. But that car, they might probably put a phone in it, too, with like a rotary.
Oh, what is that? They're from the future right now?
They put like a weird little TV screen that didn't work. Nothing worked. But that...
Japanese for sure. That's a Japanese.
Oh,
console.
he did a digital dash.
Yes. Oh, wow. You know what? Oh, I rode to the movies with like one of my mom's friends that had this car.
A 308?
Yeah, not this. No, no.
A Fiero.
Sorry. It had these type of gauges. It was
digital.
Digital. Yeah. It kind of shook me back to that.
All right. So the point is when you were rich, you let people know you were rich by driving around a custom Barris car. And now, if you're rich, you pretend you're poor. But if you're half black, you pretend you're full black. So you get more out of being black and poor. And that's what we're striving for as a society. Okay. I'm asking, does any celebrity drive a custom car anymore? There's such a thing as rappers. I'm not talking about rappers. I'm just talking about George Clooney drives the same car a school teacher drives. That's what I'm saying. Because he doesn't want to deal with the rich guy
Hyundai
stuff.
Elantra?
That's right. Rosetta Stone. Wow. Falls. Well, here. It's time to hit that reset button. Weather cools down. Football's on. Oh, thank God. Kids are back in school. Maybe it's time for the adults to learn something, too. For me, well, I've always wanted to learn a new language. I mostly so don't look like a tourist when I'm ordering lunch overseas. That's where Rosetta Stone comes in. These guys have been doing this for over 30 years, and they make it simple to pick up a new language. Spanish, French, Japanese, you name it. They got it all. Just a few minutes a day, and before you know it, you'll be learning exactly how to think in another language as well. They've got this thing called True Accent. It gives you instant feedback on your pronunciation. It's like having a patient, non-judgmental teacher who never rolls their eyes at you, unlike my old high school teacher, Spanish, Miss Valdivia. Yeah, don't forgive her. Anyway, it's easy to jump in now, anytime, 5 minutes between meetings, an hour if you're at home, cup of coffee, and you want to go big? You can grab the lifetime membership and learn all 25 languages. So you're basically set for life this fall. Skip scrolling on your phone and do something that actually sticks with you. Rosetta Stone, right, Dawson?
Don't wait. Unlock your language learning potential now. Adam Carolla Show listeners can grab Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for life. Visit rosettastone.com/Adam to get started and claim your 50% off today. Don't miss out. Go to rosettastone.com/Adam and start learning today.
This November, action is free on Pluto TV. Go on the run with Jack Reacher.
Every suspect was a train killer.
Then buckle up for Drive, World War Z,
Every human being we save is one less fight.
and Charlie's Angels.
Damn, I hate to fly.
Launch into sci-fi adventure with The Fifth Element and laugh through the mayhem in Tropic Thunder.
What is going on here?
All the thrills, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
All right, what do you got?
We got some more. Man, this is one of my favorite stories of the week right here. A singer, Tish Hyman, says she was booted from Gold Gym over a complaint about men in the locker room. I think it was because how she complained.
Yeah, she went in.
Coming in hot.
Oh, blackjack.
Oh, yeah.
Gold Gym! Men! Grown men with big dicks in the women's locker room! And that's why I'm getting kicked out, and I want to make sure the girls know. The fuck? Everybody saw that man in the fucking locker room. No one's saying shit.
Hold on. She's got a little Draymond Green in her for someone who's worried about dudes.
Hey, what's up? Young Ace would take that down?
I don't know.
Young man,
I'd be scared something would turn and I'd get into trouble at some point.
Underhooks. Just find underhooks. That's what I say.
Well, look, black women are heroes because they're willing to be loud in public.
Yes, I'm saying this really. She did something with this.
The person that sounded the alarm on the Wi Spa debacle out here in Koreatown like 6 years ago was a black woman.
I missed that one.
Oh, you missed that one?
I totally missed that, and I go to Wi Spa.
You do?
Yeah, never had a rumble in there in my.
Oh, Andrew, you can find the Wi Spa black lady who. The thing about black ladies is they don't have as great a filter.
No,
as we may
awesome.
have.
I love it.
They will tell you what they're thinking when they're thinking it.
I appreciate
and
that.
And the Wi Spa chick walked out of the locker room and started yelling at the dude behind the counter. Same difference. Which is, if you're gonna,
I totally missed it.
If you're gonna have a dude go into the locker room, then there's gonna be this. It's gonna happen.
Gonna stand up, yeah.
Yeah, and then she got kicked out.
What, really? Well, I think that there's like a personal space thing involved, you know? If somebody goes...
Do you have Wi Spa?
Yeah, here we go.
All right, we'll play a Wi Spa.
Wi Spa, so it's okay. I just want to be clear with you. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage. Your spa, Wi Spa, condone that. Is that what you're saying? like I asked. It's so he can stay there. He can stay there. What sexual orientation? I see a dick. It lets me know he's a man.
See, the black women, they brass tacks, man. They get right to it. They don't mince words.
Yeah.
They go right there.
It's a cultural thing, too. Like, I don't know. They have, like, co-ed spas out there in Europe. I went to it. It's weird for about a minute. And then after you stop looking, everybody looks at it, you know.
Listen, the whole thing about the co-ed stuff is as long as you signed up for it, like a nudist camp, then that's fine. But if you just step out of the shower and you see a dude's wang swinging around, you didn't sign up for that because they have a men's side and a woman's side.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So
I like the black girls who just pipe up.
This woman wasn't having any of it at We Spa either. And then eventually they found the guy, and the guy turned out to be a weird perv guy who did it because he was a weird perv guy, not because he was living as a woman or whatever other nonsense it is. You have to understand, in a world, all right, let's just break it down. I'm going to break it down.
Please, break it down.
I'm going to break it down.
Let it be here and forever broke down.
Dawson, Andrew, I need your focus here. In a world where all we do is come up with ways to sort of work around the system.
Circumvent.
Yes. You take the world of taxes. You go, okay, well, Nevada, you don't pay income tax. There's no state tax. There's no state tax in Nevada, but you have to live in Nevada the majority of the time. So then the rule is okay, I'll spend 181 and a half days there in 2 hours, and then I'll come back here, but I'll be there for an extra 15 minutes, and I'll be in Nevada, and then I'll get my tax savings. All we do with taxes is that's all. Just work around. Oh, that spare room that's my office, and I'm writing it off. Oh, that car I lease, that's my work car. I'm writing the mileage off. That's all we do, right? Even with religion, I mean, there are religions where women are having anal sex because they want to remain virgins.
The poop hole loophole.
The poop hole loophole. There are the Jews who have the Shabbos Goyim, which is you're not allowed to use electricity on Sabbath, on Saturday, but you want to make a smoothie, so you get the blonde-haired kid to come over from next door, and he turns on your blender so you can have your smoothie.
And then fuck through a sheet.
And then you fuck that kid through a sheet. The point is all we do is get around stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd like to fly with your dog. Oh, it's illegal to fly. What if I got a note from my doctor and a vest that said it was a service dog? Then I could get on the plane with my dog. Oh, I want pot. Pot's illegal. I have glaucoma. I can get a note that's saying I can get medical marijuana for my glaucoma. All we do is go around. That's all we do. We circumvent, we go around. That's all. As human beings, life hacks, it's all we do. It's not necessarily bad. It's just like I'm driving home. You're going to get on the 405. Take Sepulveda. Take Sepulveda. You get on Sepulveda, you go right past the traffic. That's all we do. That's all we do. So you think if there's a rule that says, listen, dudes, you can go hang out in the ladies' locker room and look at all the titties and vagina you want, but you got to be a woman, and you got to announce you're a woman.
You must tuck 23 hours a day.
We're on the honor system. You can have a cock and balls and a beard, but you have to say that you identify as a woman, and then you may go hang out with the youngins who are naked in the shower with the ladies over there. You don't think we would take advantage of that? And all the taking advantage of, and all the all-you-can-eats, and the twofers, and all the. We live in a world where women and men, women, they go, here, what are we doing? Well, I'm going to buy this evening gown. Well, that's a pretty expensive evening gown to wear one time. Oh, no, I'm going to wear it once, then I'm going to return it. So you're going to buy it? Yeah. But then I have 3 days to return it, but I'll just do the ball on Saturday night and I'll return it Sunday morning, and then I won't pay for it. That's law-abiding women do that. I did an event the other day. They go, we want 85-inch monitors on the stage. I go, I don't want to have to pay for 85-inch monitor. No. Oh, well, how much is it to rent 85? No. Just buy them at Costco. Then what? You use them, and then we return them. Then I go, these are decent people engaging in this behavior all day, every day. You understand? So you don't think, guys, knowing what we know about human nature, you don't think guys would walk into the ladies' locker room just to see some titties.
They're already doing it to win swim medals.
Right. So you think we're on some sort of honor system here? We are not. We're on a game the system here, and that's what they're going to do. And you should not be surprised if you go, look, here's the deal. Here's the California law. You're not allowed to question the person. If they say they're a woman, and then they can go walk into the ladies' side of the locker room. It's going to happen nonstop.
I would like to announce my transition to the next news story. Aspiring lawyer Kim Kardashian admits using ChatGPT to study for law exams.
Oh, wait a minute. That bar is going to come in pretty soon. Any day now. So I've heard from watching TMZ. I will tell you who better pray she doesn't pass that bar. You know who?
Oh, Paris Hilton? Don't they have a rivalry?
No.
All right. Then maybe Khloe Kardashian? Don't you want to sue her about something?
No.
All right. Then maybe
something to do with Jenner and a trailer.
Oh my goodness.
No. Former two-term mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, who failed the bar 4 times.
Oh yeah.
Our mayor of Los Angeles failed the bar 4 times.
Well, bless his heart. He had a
4
different skill set. You know what I mean? He's not good at test
4
taking.
times.
You know, he was sweating that
Didn't
day.
pass it on the 5th
time. No.
Failed 4 times, and then we made him mayor of Los Angeles. The fucking retard.
He was a sick DJ, I got to tell you.
That failed the bar 4 times, became the mayor of Los Angeles. That's how fucking
they
dumb
should run him again.
We are.
It may be better than Bass.
I've been saying this for years, and it was at an event I was at the other night. It was so funny. But anyway, yeah, Villaraigosa.
Yeah.
Well, his name is Tony Villar, but he changed it to Antonio Villaraigosa because we can get dumb Mexican people to vote for a retarded guy who failed the bar 4 times, which is perfect. It's a perfect symbol of our society. Hey, dumb Mexican guys, yeah, this guy sounds like you. Yeah, because he changed his name. Yeah, because his name used to be Tony Villar, but now it's Antonio Villaraigosa, so you vote for the retarded guy who failed the bar 4 times. That'll be our politics here in Los Angeles, and then we'll get the world's shittiest mayor, who, by the way, these guys stop being mayor of Los Angeles and move on to nothing. That's how fucking dumb they are. But Tony Villar, you better pray Kim Kardashian does not pass that bar, because she will be the chick with the ass who did what you couldn't do in 4 attempts. So make sure that Tony Villar failed the bar 4 times. 4 times. And didn't pass it on the 5th. Knew he was so fucking dumb that he didn't pass it. He never took it on the 5th. I think he took it a 5th time.
The official California bar is a grueling 2-day test consisting of 5 one-hour essay questions and 1 90-minute performance test and 200 multiple-choice questionnaires.
Oh, by the way, Tony Villar was like, hey, we're taking an essay question. See what I did there?
No.
Hey, essay? After UCLA, Villar attended an unaccredited People's College of Law, the famous PCL, after completing law school and subsequently failing the California bar exam 4 times He became a field representative organizer with the United Teachers of Los Angeles. Yeah, who better to teach than a guy who never stopped failing the fucking bar of Los Angeles where he organized. I don't think you should take stuff off the screen that I'm reading. I mean, I don't know. I would call it a courtesy, but if I'm in the middle of reading something, you shouldn't move it.
Snatch it off.
Los Angeles, where he organized teachers and was regarded as a gifted advocate. Gifted meaning like euphemistic for retarded. Well, anyway, after he was done failing the bar, then we decided he should run the 7th largest economy in the world.
All right, well, I'll start taking it. How long does it take?
How fucking dumb are we in Los Angeles? And by the way, I was talking to Rick Caruso. It's like we had Antonio Villaraigosa, we had Garcetti, we now have Karen Bass. We've had a long list of dumbasses running Los Angeles. And everyone's like, what's wrong with Los Angeles? What's wrong with Los Angeles? We've had 16 years of dumb shits running it into the ground. That's what's wrong with Los Angeles. If you get someone smart in there, maybe someone who passed the bar, we could figure this out. By the way, if I ran against Tony Villar for mayor, I would never stop bringing up the fact that he failed the bar 4 times in a row.
Yeah, and he changed his name. I'd like to change my name to
His name
Riva de Nera.
Tony Villar is his name.
Villar?
And he
That's a big stretch, though. Villaraigosa.
Antonio Villaraigosa, because he's trying to dupe dumb Mexicans into voting for him. And what you guys don't understand, everybody, is I don't care if he's Mexican and you're Mexican. He's still a dope who's not going to do anything for you. Better to vote for a Jewish guy or a black guy who is smart, who might do something for you, you fucking idiots. I'm sorry. This whole, like, racial this and racial that. He's not doing anything for you. Hey, black people, what did Barack Obama do for you? Nothing? Good. Then find a fucking guy who's good at what he does and vote for him. That's all. All right, Mayhem, I'm tired now.
Yeah, no problem.
That was a lot.
That was a great one.
That was very emotional.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very emotional. All right. I am going to be, yes, you can leave it on the screen, tomorrow night, Boston at the Wilbur Theater, and then Buffalo at Electric City Friday night, and at Duluth, Georgia with Megyn Kelly up there. You can go to amcroll.com for all the live shows. Oh, I'm going to be with Brian Callen up on the 12th in Austin at Cap City doing a stand-up show there. Again, amcroll.com for all the live stuff. Mayhem Miller and Bjorn Lomborg. And until then, this is Ace saying mahalo.